Your phone listens, your apps track, you share your sleep schedule on BeReal and your breakup on TikTok. But you're not afraid. Why for Gen Z privacy is no longer what it used to be? For millennials, this can be alarming. Welcome to the post-privacy generation. Does Gen Z care about being tracked? Subscribe to GENSHIFT, where we decode privacy paranoia and posting memes at 3 a.m. If this resonates with you, you're one of us. Normalizing surveillance, the everywhere eyes. There is a fundamental difference between growing up with something and being introduced to it. For Generation Z, a world without constant digital surveillance is as historical a concept as a world without airplanes. They are born into an environment where cameras tracking and data collection are not an intrusion, but a feature of reality. This isn't some dark future they're being warned about. It's the digital air they breathe all the time. This basic acceptance is reflected in some startling data. A 2023 Cato Institute survey found that nearly a third of Americans under 30, mostly Gen Z, support the government installing surveillance cameras in every household to reduce crime. That number plummets to just 6% for Americans over 45. This comfort extends to their personal space, with more than half of Gen Zers feeling comfortable with smart security cameras in their own homes, a higher percentage than any other generation. For Gen Z, the question isn't whether they're being watched, but how that surveillance can be integrated for their benefit. Ask a millennial and they'll tell you stories about the early days of the internet, a digital Wild West, where paranoia was a survival skill. They might still tape over their laptop webcams, a relic of an era when being spied on felt like a violation of the default state of privacy. They miss the times that came before. This is the core of the generational divide: digital immigrants versus digital natives. Gen Z's comfort is not apathy, it's a deep form of conditioning. They've been raised in a world where the convenience of a connected device is inextricably linked to its ability to monitor. Consider the rise of facial recognition. A decade ago, its use in public places caused widespread civil liberties protests. Today, it's the technology that unlocks your phone, approves your payments, and automatically tags you in photos. For a generation that has been profiled and commoditized since birth, its seamless integration into everyday applications is not only accepted, it is expected. This normalization represents a profound shift. Privacy is no longer an inherent right to be taken away, but a set of settings to be configured. The debate has shifted from privacy versus surveillance to privacy through surveillance, using a Ring camera to protect your home or a location tracking app to track your friends. Basic expectations about what it means to be private have been fundamentally and perhaps permanently redrawn. There's sharing as an identity, the public self. For Gen Z, the line between self-expression and public performance has all but dissolved. Sharing isn't just something they do, it's a key way they build identity, find community, and validate their existence in a crowded digital world. Research shows that a key motivation for sharing online is to give people a better sense of who you are and what you care about. For Gen Z, this motivation has been enhanced by platforms that reward continuous, authentic, and engaging self-disclosure. This is the generation of viral trauma-dumping videos on TikTok, where deeply personal struggles are processed publicly in front of millions of viewers. It's a generation of hyper-specific best friend stories, where vulnerability is a currency, and of hero energy, where everyday life is framed as a cinematic story. This behavior is driven by a powerful psychological mix: the need for social validation through likes and comments, algorithmic rewards for highly engaging content, and a genuine desire to find community in shared experiences. Millennials, who grew up with a clearer distinction between public and private selves, often observe this with a mixture of curiosity and alarm. Their online lives are built around carefully curated photo albums and careful status updates born of early internet lessons about the dangers of oversharing. They debate what is appropriate to share online. For many Gen Zers, the question is what is inappropriate. This leads to a fascinating redefinition of privacy. It's not about secrecy, it's about controlling the narrative. A user can publicly document their every meal and mental struggle for a wide audience, but would be horrified if their home address or phone number were leaked. This isn't a contradiction. It's a subtle form of boundary setting. The violation isn't about sharing personal information, but about losing control over how, when, and with whom that information is shared. They cleverly compartmentalize their identities using private Finsta or spam accounts to share a more authentic self with a small number of trusted people while using avatars on public platforms to manage the prying eyes of family and prospective employers. Privacy is the right to be the author of your own public story. Trade-off: convenience versus control. Data agreements. Which brings us to the great paradox of the digital age. Despite being aware of data privacy issues, Gen Z often seems willing to trade their personal information for a better online experience. This isn't hypocrisy. It's a rational calculation called the privacy calculus. In this mental model, users weigh the benefits they receive from sharing data against the perceived risks. For Gen Z, these benefits are immediate, tangible, and highly desirable. The biggest benefit is personalization. More than half of Gen Z said interesting or personally relevant topics are the main reason they enjoy social media content. They see targeted advertising not as an intrusion, but as a service. Studies show that they are 3 times more likely than older generations to allow ad tracking specifically to receive more relevant ads. The second benefit is convenience. Seamless Google login, one-click purchases, and built-in apps appeal to a fast-paced lifestyle where hassle is the enemy. And finally, there are direct incentives. Gen Z is much more willing than other generations to share data in exchange for rewards like cash rebates or loyalty points, making the transaction feel transparent and fair. The risks, by contrast, can seem abstract and distant. Millennials who came of age during major scandals like Cambridge Analytica often harbor a lingering anxiety about big data and corporate exploitation. But for Gen Z, the threat is less obvious. Research shows that the average person is unaware of 74% of data breaches that have affected them. It's hard to worry about a threat you can't see, especially when the alternative is a less convenient and less personalized digital life. This entire system was, of course, designed. The privacy paradox is not a flaw in Gen Z's thinking. It is the intended outcome of a digital ecosystem designed to make sharing frictionless and privacy a high-effort affair. Platforms push users to take the path of least resistance, which is also the path of maximum data exploitation. Given the choice between accepting all cookies with a single click or navigating a complicated menu to opt out, most people will choose the former. Gen Z's behavior is simply a rational adaptation to an environment built to harvest a new kind of oil, their data. The lines are blurring, but where do you draw your own? Do you care who sees your data? Leave A if you're a privacy advocate or if you've given up. And let us know in the comments if you've ever actually read a terms of service. Be honest. Dissenting voices: privacy and digital hygiene rebellions. But the story isn't that simple. Gen Z isn't a monolithic mass passively accepting a post-privacy world. A powerful resistance movement is gaining momentum, fueled by a growing sense of digital exhaustion and a desire for authentic, unmediated experiences. This isn't a rejection of technology, but a conscious effort to take back control of it. Welcome to the era of digital hygiene. This rebellion takes many forms. There's the rise of digital minimalism, a philosophy of using technology more intentionally, which has led to trends like barebacking, the practice of going without any digital distractions to give the brain some breathing room. On social media, the new aesthetic is mystery. Silent main accounts, archived profiles, and a preference for private dark social spaces like Discord servers and group chats signal a shift away from performative oversharing. This counterculture also comes with practical tools. Gen Z and Millennials now account for 75% of users on popular VPN services, which create private tunnels over the public internet. Following warnings about security threats, Gen Z is leading the way in adopting end-to-end encrypted messaging apps. This echoes the spirit of early millennial internet activists who advocated for open-source software and digital rights, but with one key difference. While millennials generally understand privacy in theory, many Gen Zers are practicing it out of sheer exhaustion. This pushback is fueled by a growing awareness of the value of their data and a deep fatigue from the constant pressure to perform online. A new wave of privacy-conscious creators is emerging, attracting attention by teaching their friends how to use privacy-enhancing tools or how to digitally clean up their lives. This points to a future where privacy is not a default, but a conscious choice and perhaps even a luxury. As some users deliberately disconnect, we may be heading toward a stratified digital experience divided between those who can afford to opt out and those who cannot. What's next? Biometrics, AI and the future of the self. If the present is about data, the future is about identity. The next frontier in the privacy debate is being shaped by three powerful forces: artificial intelligence, biometrics, and the Internet of Things. And the level of risk is increasing exponentially. Emerging technologies are blurring the lines between our physical and digital selves in ways we are only beginning to understand. Biometric data, your face, your fingerprints, your voice is rapidly becoming the new key to everything. It's more convenient than a password, but with one serious flaw: if it's compromised, you can't reset it. This shifts the risk from protecting what you know to protecting who you are. AI systems are being designed to analyze this data at scale, not just to verify your identity, but also to monitor your behavior, assess your emotional state, and predict your actions. Imagine a future where your gait as you walk down the street is passively analyzed to serve you an ad for a new pair of shoes, or where your tone of voice during a customer service call tailors the offers you receive. This isn't science fiction. It's where technology is headed. This development challenges the very survival strategy that Gen Z has evolved: individuation. If your face becomes a universal login, the ability to maintain separate curated personas for different audiences may become technologically impossible. So is there a limit? What forms of surveillance would even the most pragmatic Gen Z user consider too intrusive? While their tolerance is high, it is not limitless. This generation has a history of strong digital activism and holding institutions accountable. They expect transparency and are willing to punish brands that betray their trust. The conversation isn't over. It's about to get much more intense, shifting from data privacy to fundamental rights around digital identity and biometrics. Conclusion. So is privacy dead? The evidence suggests that it is not dead, but has been transformed in profound, unrecognizable ways. We have witnessed 5 major shifts. Surveillance has been normalized, sharing has become a form of identity, convenience has been consistently traded for control, a digital minimalist rebellion has begun, and the future of the self is being challenged by AI and biometrics. Gen Z didn't kill privacy. They were born into its postmortem and have been tasked with building something new from what remains. They are reshaping it with every overshare, every incognito mode activation, and every best friend story. The conversation isn't about whether we're being tracked, but about how we choose to live in the spotlight and what new forms of digital boundaries we'll create together in this post-privacy era. If this episode made you question your digital settings, like and subscribe, and tag that friend who shares their entire life on Instagram stories, then immediately makes it private. Let's navigate this new digital frontier together.